All righty.
Are we there?
Kat, we're back. How are
Hey,
you doing? Good
I'm
to see
good.
you.
Nice to see you. Talk about both of us talking over each other, huh? We got that one down, Pat. You know, these live streams, we try to get them off the ground and they just never go that smoothly. I don't know
That's
why not.
But well, however we got here we are.
Yes.
And we're
Okay.
talking real estate, and we're talking about a super hot real estate market this week, right?
It's kind of ridiculous out there. We got stats hot off the presses. So
And
yeah.
we've got offers out there. We were just a little background here for some of the viewers. We had an offer on a house, or we were considering an offer on a house, right? With the client, and we just talked to the realtor. And how many offers were on that property?
26 offers on one little house that was listed around 700-ish. I hate to spill the tea, but they didn't even have a key box on it or use showing time to get it showings. And so I have to emphasize that, gosh, look out in that price point's all I got to say, guys.
Yes.
That $650 to $750 price point is a wily in King County right now. And I will say it also is in Snohomish County. So,
yeah.
Hey guys, Kat Howard here with Windermere in Woodinville, Washington, joined with Dan Mellis with Nexa Mortgage. He's out of Renton. And we get together once a week and we put together these live streams. We go live on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. And we were just talking about an offer situation. Had a client text me just a few minutes ago. And he's like, we're not in town yet. Their offer review was today. Do you think there's any way we can get in on this action? And I said, oh gosh, offer review was at noon. It's now like 3:30, 4 o'clock, right? And they're out of town, like a ways out of town. They're not like in Shoreline out of town. They're, like hours away. So there's no possible way they could possibly get in this place. And I said, I'll tell you what, let me get a hold of the agent and let me see what's happening with that particular home, because it was on his short list. And 26 offers. 26 offers on one house today, where they were not allowing showings except during open houses. Oh my God.
Well,
down the last 2 days, I couldn't have gotten him in there. They didn't allow any showings Monday and Tuesday.
That's what when the market is this hot. This is like April hot, not February hot. But anyways,
this is actually, you guys, this is like April 2022 hot, which is a completely different qualification than, like, let's say later in the spring. We are looking at 30% over asking. In some cases, we're looking at over 20 offers now in a lot of situations. So extremely competitive for buyers. And to be fair, when I called different agents around the area this week, one of them had 15 other agents want to write it, but she took 2 offers because they were both cash. And they went 20% over. And let's say this one was listed somewhere close to Bothell between 1 and 1.2. So cash.
On that note, this is a good stepping off point, I think, to go to the stats by Kat for King County, because let's take a look at stats by Kat for King County, because it's a super hot market. Let's take a look at some of these numbers.
It's kind of insane. I mean, there's 0.8 months supply of inventory, and that has ticked up a bit, but the activity has remained at a fairly high level. So we've got 798 new listings. 798 listings total in King County. Let me be clear. Not new. I don't know what I was saying there. 61% of sellers did set offer review dates, so feeling very confident in King County that they're going to get under contract within the first 7 days. And in fact, 65% of them are getting under contract within the first 7 days. And that's if they listed between February 11th and February 17th. So that's very recent data, people. It's 7 days back. 7 days back. 67% of sellers got under contract within the first 14 days on the market in King County if they listed between January 28th and February 10th. So, that 14-day data is not terribly great. It's the 7-day data that is amazing, right? So, you've got almost the same number of sellers getting under contract over the first 2 weeks as the first 7 days. So that first 7 days is critical for sellers in King County. Absolutely critical.
And because the date, I'm just going to throw this in there, Kat, just you correct me when I'm wrong. But okay. Because the date range on a 7 day under Sunday, 7 day pending, the date range is more recent. It sort of leads the 14-day number. Is that correct?
It's more recent, right? What happens is that the 7-day data, we go back 8 to 14 days to get that 7-day 1 week range. And then for the 2 week data, we go back 14 days. So that goes, you start at day 15 and you go back to day 28. So that the most recent data is the 0 to 7. So important for you guys to realize that really is what's happening in the market. And the phone call I just made, and actually Ted ended up being a text message, the 26 offers on one home, that's pretty telling. So that's reflective of this weekend, right? So that's what's happening now.
So, I mean, I hate to put it this way, but as tight as these numbers are showing on the stats by Kat, with 26 offers from this week, it's getting even tighter if I'm reading the market right.
It sounds like the competitions are getting more fierce going forward, and more sellers are feeling confident about setting offer review dates. And so that's going to encourage more competitions, because if you don't set an offer review date, you might get a few early offers, and then you're probably going to go under contract within that first couple of days with a bully offer situation, more than likely. If you can hold out through the weekend as a seller and collect a few more offers, there's a much greater likelihood that you'll actually get cash. I mean, it seems like every time I talk to an agent that's gone under contract on either a house that my clients are interested in or a house that I'm just curious about, it seems like every time they've gone cash. There's been a couple that have gone finance. My guess is the house I just called on just now, I would imagine out of 26 offers, there's cash in there. So,
yeah,
and I would say 20% is probably not where they ended up. I would say they went far over that. So,
yeah.
Anyway,
let's move over to Snohomish real quick, because those are looking super hot too. Can we move over to Snohomish?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Snohomish County. 0.65 months supply of inventory, and that is ticking up a tad. We've got 273 listings currently on the market, so still a pretty low number for Snohomish County. 49% of sellers set offer review dates in Snohomish County. 61% of sellers got under contract within the first 7 days on the market if they listed between February 11th and February 17th. And this is the shocking number for the week, guys. It's 84% of sellers got under contract in Snohomish County if they listed their home between January 28th and February 10th. They got under contract within the first 14 days on the market. So the market 2 to 4 weeks ago in Snohomish County was absolutely cooking, and it still really is. It still really is. But come on, 84% of you sellers getting under contract within the first 2 weeks. That's a pretty big number. That's almost a guarantee, a slam dunk. You got it wrong if you don't sell. Right? That's kind of what that is.
and look at some of the ancillary stats that are coming out. I mean, median days on the market, 8 days. 8.
And that data is old. That's 30 to 60 days old. So you can only imagine what the actual number is. Right? Because it's going to be less than 7. because we have over 50% of sellers getting under contract within the first 7 days. So that number will be less than seven, that median days on market. The reality is in today's market. So yeah, it's fascinating. Just 7% interest rates, and look out, Snohomish County. Holy cow, right?
7% interest rate. It means nothing. Look at that.
I mean, buyers are doing it regardless. It's shocking. The only thing I will say, and this is just a take the edge off a tad, is that inventory has creeped up in the 3 big counties a tad this time. So we have less homes going under contract than are actually coming on the market. So we have a few more coming on the market, new listings coming on the market than are getting under contract. So that necessarily makes our month supply of inventory likely less.
Well, that's
slightly more. I'm sorry.
A little more. Yeah.
Adding listings. Now, part of the absorption could come from listings that have been on the market for a while. It's not all just reflective of who went off the market in the first 7 days of those ones that were listed. It's also, you have to take into account the listings that have been on the market for a period of time. So it looks to me like right now we've got a little more inventory coming on the market than going off the market. Because I literally just looked at last week. So that's most recent data, right? So 0 to 7 days, the number of new listings that came on the market. And then I also looked at the number of listings that actually went pending so that I could compare the two. And so that number it's increasing for listings coming on the market. So, it feels to me like we might see a ever so slight softening. And I got to be really careful with that word, because we're talking softening from like 65% of you getting under contract within the first, 7 days on the market to maybe 60%, right. 80% instead of 84%, getting under contract within the first 2 weeks. So, we need to keep this into perspective. This is a wildly hot market in Snohomish County right now, wildly hot. And I've got some listings coming up, and I really would like to get them on the market. I also would like to see them see the appreciation for the year. But if you're getting 20 to 30% over asking, you're getting your appreciation for the year.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That's crazy.
So we could go on the market anytime with my upcoming listings, and my clients would see the appreciation. In the summer, it typically cools down a tad, and the offers don't come in as much over asking as they do in the spring. And sometimes some of the multiple offer situations start to go away just because there's more activity, more listings coming on the market. So, I think that it will cool a tad as we get into summer. But I don't really see this buying onslaught ending anytime soon. Don't see it happening. I think there's just too much demand.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dan?
What do I think?
Yeah.
I think let's take a look at Pierce County, because Pierce County is also going pretty hot.
Pierce County? All right.
Let's take a look at Pierce.
Pierce County. Hey, my daughter and I are getting a listing down there next week. I was down there. Yeah. We were down there staging it today. So pretty excited about that one. It's got a big shop and another garage off the other side of the house. So we've got 2 attached garages. It's amazing. Anyway, I better shut up about that. Okay. Pierce County, 0.9 months supply of inventory. We've got 644 homes on the market right now in Pierce County. 24% of sellers set offer review dates last week. So that is the last 0 to 7 days. That's how many sellers did set offer review dates. It's a little light in the loafers for my liking, but Pierce County is right on the cusp of that. In the number of sellers getting under contract within the first 7 days, I'm a little squeamish about setting offer review dates. So because we've got 36% of sellers 36% of sellers getting under contract within the first 7 days on the market if they listed between February 11th and February 17th. So it's not a huge number. I like that number to be a little bit higher before you start setting offer review dates. If it's in the 40s, I feel like, yes, let's do that. But if it's not, then only the shiny objects guys set offer review dates. And then we've got, but the second number for Pierce County gets a lot better. It's 59% of sellers that are 59% of sellers got under contract within the first 14 days on the market if they listed between January 28th and February 10th. So those are good numbers for this, 2-week data. It's great. 59% is pretty good for Pierce County. So I'll take it. Did I lose you, Dan? Uh-oh. I think I lost Dan. Where's Dan? Huh. Well, hi guys. We're sans Dan for the moment. Hi, Bill. Oh, somebody says hi, Grandma. Hi, Martin, Shimmer. Anyway, okay, here we go. Let's do Pierce. Let's do Mason County while we wait for Dan to jump back on here. Hopefully he can get back on. I don't know where he's at. Okay. So Mason County, a little bit slower market, 2 months supply of inventory in Mason County. Only 101 active listings. So Mason County, a little less population than Snohomish, King, and Pierce. Nobody set an offer review date. No one set an offer review date in Mason County. It's sort of expected there because there are not as many homes flying off the market yet. They still have 2 months supply of inventory. So that's okay. Oh, we got Dan. Okay, Dan's calling. Hold on. Dan, where'd you go, man? We're live on TikTok. We're not. What happened? Oh, somebody said maybe switching between Wi-Fi and something else. Oh, yeah. Right. Hi, guys. Okay. You guys like my ginormous bottles of Essentia? Yeah, I'm on. I don't think it kicked me off. It says you're in the show and everyone can see and hear you. And I told everybody we were going to do Mason County.
Okay.
Dan's trying to reconnect. Oh, he's back. Okay, I'll hang up on you.
Okay.
Hung up. Okay, well, Dan's back. Welcome back, Dan.
Thanks, Kat. Okay, what are we looking at now?
Glad to have my co-host back.
We've got let's see here, stats for. We were at Pierce, but we're going to
Mason.
Let's go Mason. Okay.
Yeah, Mason County, 2 months supply of inventory. They got 101 homes currently on the market in Mason County. Nobody set an offer review date in Mason County, but you wouldn't expect that because they have several months of inventory right now. So I would expect that. 23%. So 23% of sellers got under contract within the first 7 days on the market if they listed between February 11th and February 17th. And we've got 41% of sellers getting under contract within the first 14 days on the market if they listed between January 28th and February 10th. So pretty good second week in Mason County. So Mason County, I think it's been picking up a bit over the past month. They've had some good weeks and some a little off weeks, but I think overall it's picking up down there. So,
well, that's good news.
Yeah.
Skagit. All right, Skagit. Here we go.
Skagit County. 1.4 months supply of inventory. 103 listings on the market currently. Not very many listings. 14% of sellers set offer review dates over the last 7 days in Skagit County. 33% of sellers got under contract within the first 7 days on the market if they listed between February 11th and February 17th. So that's a pretty good number for Skagit County. 42% of sellers got under contract within the first 14 days on the market if they listed between January 28th and February 10th. So not a bad market in Skagit County, really, overall. But we should move on very quickly to Kitsap County before we lose Dan again. I'm afraid of losing Dan. Hi, Ina. Hi, June. Hi, Ozzy. I love those names. Kitsap.
Wait a minute. Let's go to Kitsap here. Okay. There we go.
Keep up, Dan.
I'm a little slow today. Slow on the uptake.
0.9 months supply of inventory in Kitsap County. their month supply of inventory has decreased. They've
Mhm.
got a pretty cooking market over there right now. My daughter works over there, and she's running into multiple offers. They currently have 177 listings on the market. And you guys, this does not include new construction, right? Or condos or manufactured homes, to be fair. So 36% of sellers did set offer review dates in Kitsap County, and they should be. We've got 55% of sellers in Kitsap County that got under contract within the first 7 days on the market if they listed between February 11th and February 17th. So 55%. Wow. And only so a couple of weeks ago, it was a little slower. 52% of sellers in Kitsap County got under contract within the first 14 days on the market if they listed between January 28th and February 10th. So it was a little bit slower. It's picked up a bit over in Kitsap County. So that's the counties, folks.
And let's see here. All right, let's move over to, let's take a look at that investment property we were looking at.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so let's set the stage and then I'll put in the return on investment stuff. Okay, the property analyzer. So we'll set the stage, and basically we're looking at a multifamily. How many units was it? It was like
It's an
8 units, right?
It's an 8-plex in Everett is where it's at.
8-plex in Everett.
Mhm.
Let's see here.
The rental
Multifamily.
income, the rental income is $8,822 a month.
I'll just go through this real quick. So it's 900,000 in Everett. Nice blue house. Got 8 little bedrooms in there. Right? Let's see here. So it's cash flow.
I think it's got like 4 studios and it's got a couple of different size units in there, and some of them are long-term and some of them are more short-term business people.
Right.
That are in furnished rooms, sort of furnished studios, I believe.
I'll just go through this real quick. Some of the financial analysis. Okay. We won't dwell on that because I've got a separate thing for the separate analysis. But this shows you what each unit is making. $91.90 for the current total rent, the gross rents, basically
for the year.
Per month.
No, for the year, $91,000 for the year.
No, $91.90 per month.
Oh, $91.90. Sorry, I thought you said $91,000.
No, $91.90 per month.
Okay.
When you add everything up, and you can see they've got some of these are smaller. Oh my goodness, they've taken the New York City philosophy. They've got one studio at 110 square feet, and another one at 100 square feet, and a third one at 281 square feet. So those are kind of tiny. It is what it is, but they're getting rented out. You've got then there's a floor plan, okay, and then a few pictures, and they are nice. We took a look at the interior of it yesterday, and it's a nice property. It really is. It's older. I think it was built in 1910.
Early 1900s, yeah. So it's going to probably be the Poston Pier foundation.
Yeah,
which is fairly inexpensive to work on.
yeah, that's right.
Just saying, there's the bonus.
And you've got all the local employers around here: Boeing, Everett Clinic, Providence, Amazon. And then there is the folks that are listing it. And let's take a look at sorry to give the folks that are listing it the short shrift. Sorry about that, folks.
I know. Sorry, you TikTokers. We've got a live stream on Facebook and YouTube too, where you can see both of us. But anyway, and he's got a cash flow analysis on the screen. So he's going to run through those numbers.
Let's see if we can get. It's not getting any bigger. Oh well, life goes on. And you can barely see it, but this thing, because the numbers are kind of tiny. But I got to tell you, the thing really Go ahead, Kat. I'm sorry, I'm stealing your thunder here.
You're fine.
But it does cash flow very nicely. Let's take a look here.
I think he's assuming a 4% increase in rents annually, which is kind of the region's average, I believe, really close to that, maybe a little bit higher than that. So
Just trying to be a little bit conservative with it because you never know what's going to happen here going forward. But I think we are being pretty conservative. And then let's take a look here.
we have an after tax on here.
So what do we look? Okay, here we go. This is what I'm looking for. Sorry, you can't see it on the screen too well, but we're looking at year one cash flow. It does cash flow from the get-go, assuming that. So the part that gets a little complicated is the property management fees.
Yeah.
We may be understating that a bit. We got it at 10%. It may be a little, but there's a lot of mixed use as far as the long-term, short-term rentals on this property. Yeah. So
short-term rentals are going to be more expensive than the 10% per month. Right. The long-term rentals are typically 10% plus a half month or a 1 month leasing fee every year. So every year they have to release it. So the short-term rentals will be higher than that.
Correct. Right. So we might have it understated just a bit, but even so, you've got the cash flow first year of 19,000, cash on cash return of 9.9%. Year two, you're looking at a $22,600 total cash flow, with an 11.8% cash on cash return, and it grows from there. So it does appear to be a pretty attractive property.
You calculated this one with 25% down, right? And at like an 8% interest rate?
Yes, that's correct. I calculated it at 25% down and a 7.25% interest rate because we brought on a new lender. They are smoking hot rates right now.
They got smoking hot rates? Well, I like 7.25. That doesn't sound bad for multifamily.
Yeah, we've got one lender. It's really aggressive, and they're a very good lender. So anyway, so that's what I've got in for the assumptions. And what else do we have here? The total appreciation that we'd be looking at over 10 years would be approximately, if we're looking at a 4% return per year, you'd be at $432,000. You're going to pay down the original loan amount by $95,000. Mm-hmm. And so the total return on investment, you're looking at gross revenues. You've got your rental income of $1,271,000. You got appreciation of $432,000. Total gross revenue of $1.7 million. Expenses at $893,000. So your profit in the first 10 years, you're looking at $810,000. And the return on investment would be an average compounded rate of return of 18.6%.
Yeah, so if that's true, if all those variables are true, then could be a really great investment. I think the thing that kind of got me about this particular property, and I always look to see when the current seller purchased it, and I looked back and they paid, what was it, $765, I think it was, for in 2021. And what they did was, like a lot of investors, they take them over and then sometimes they fix them up or sometimes they just bump rent. Right. And then they put them back on the market and try to pull out an extra 100, 150 and I've seen that over and over again this year. I'm kind of tired of that scenario, actually.
But
current rents do matter because they affect the bottom line. But,
there's not much you can do about it because, that's part of being an investor. Yeah. That's part of the game.
It's a strategy. You can pick up a property that's being rented currently under market for less than what it should sell for, right? And then you can turn around and you can maybe shiny it up a little bit, add some, new quartz countertops and some wood laminate flooring and, increase rents a tad. So that is one way. That is one strategy as an investor that you could do some shorter term capital gains. We probably don't want to get that too short, but, you could turn around and sell that within a couple of years.
Yeah.
For a tidy little profit. So as long as interest rates don't double, that's the thing that's got me in a twist. Interest rates have doubled since they bought it. So Still, but the truth is that where they have it rented at right now, it does look like a fairly solid investment.
Well, would you like to have a good chuckle, a good laugh?
Yeah. Do you got a joke for me, Dan?
Well, kind of a joke for you. I'm gonna present to you my eternal hope. So week after week, we have this eternal hope that interest rates are gonna turn around, right?
Oh, Dan. Oh no.
Oh, Dan.
Oh, Dan.
Oh,
Really saying that they're going to come down.
let's.
It's true. It's not true, Dan.
It's well, I don't know, but the one thing that here's what the 10-year Treasury looks like, and I've got it all scribbled up here. So anyway, yeah, these little blue lines are just the Fibonacci retracement levels, and then you've got a few other things on there. But I'll tell you, we're getting the higher we go, the closer we are to the end of this rising rate environment. We're getting close. In all seriousness, it does, technically speaking, we're in a. Remember, we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I don't know if it's going to come down or not, because we hadn't quite hit those Fibonacci target ranges, right? And now we have. And so now we've hit the first target range at 38.2%, and we're right in between that 38.2 and the 50% Fibonacci target. And the reason I mentioned that there is some hope, and I'll stop sharing this here, but the reason there is some hope is that you have some weakness, some fundamental weakness that is coming into some of the economic numbers right now. The durable goods numbers came out today. Weak. The retail sales numbers, weak, that came out it was 2 days ago, I think it was, something like that. Most of the economic numbers, other than GDP, are coming in weak. And so we've got GDP numbers coming in pretty soon, but the internal numbers that we're seeing coming in right now, they're getting revised down. You're seeing some weakness, and I gotta tell you, there's some I don't know how to call it, but there are some, I'll call it a proprietary index that I track locally for the Seattle area. We won't go into how I come up with these numbers.
You have a proprietary index, Dan?
Proprietary means I don't want to release my work. I don't want to show my homework here at this point. But
source?
No, I don't. But I will tell you this much: the retail sales numbers that I'm seeing on my proprietary index, that I'll call, we will call it a proprietary sales index. Okay. For the Seattle area. Okay,
they are weaker.
Really weak. They're starting to creep back a little bit, but they were really, really weak year over year. Those numbers won't start getting to be reported. So the numbers got really weak in January and February. You're not going to see those getting reported until next month. Okay.
Yeah. So it runs late. Yeah, it runs 30 to 60 days late.
That's right. There's a lag to those reporting numbers. So I would suggest that we're going to start to see numbers that are very internal economic numbers that are very favorable towards lower interest rates. And so that kind of comes together with the technicals looking at the chart.
So that's,
well, what that's going to do is it'll help bump the number of offers that we get on some of these houses from 26
offers is going to go to like 55.
Something like that.
Interest rates came down to like 5.5%. The actual roof would get blown off the real estate market. I just don't even know what would happen. We would implode. I'm pretty sure.
Well, it's good. Here's going to be my counseling for those that are in the market. If you don't have a ton of cash, okay, if you're coming in to buy a house, you don't have a ton of cash. If interest rates start coming down, my suggestion: if you don't have cash, have patience. That's my suggestion. But anyway, the other part of it is,
don't have cash, get fully underwritten, and make Dan do it. Call
fully
Dan.
under.
He can
Yes.
do it. It's harder than just doing a regular pre-approval, and it takes more time, but he can do it. Trust me, you guys. Get fully underwritten. Will make his life a living hell because it
That's
takes
right.
so much longer up front.
Kat is suggesting this because she sees the light and she knows she's going to become a professional offer writer here
Right.
very shortly.
Yes. So here we go. Now we can torch me because
So
I will become a professional offer writer if interest rates go down to 5.5%. And it could happen just where they're at right now.
That's right. So, but that is what's going to happen. And so, one of the reasons why on our live stream we're trying to present some outside the box ideas for investment properties, multifamily.
Yeah.
We were showing some properties over in Bremerton, that were fourplexes, things like that.
Yeah.
Is because
Four cabins, as a matter of fact, over in Poulsbo. That was a really cool property over on Viking Street.
The Viking property, yes.
Contract, but yeah, and those ones, you guys, we were talking about those because, sorry to cut you off, Dan, but we were talking about those because you can, with FHA now, you can get into those for like 3% down, move into one of the units yourself, and have the other tenants, the other residents pay for a good portion of your payment. Now, it's probably not going to be an equal split, but at least it gives, you're building equity on something that's $1 million instead of something that's 350, right?
That's right.
That's the difference.
And the other part of that equation is that you're probably, because the multifamilies are not quite getting the same bid, if you will, the same number of offers, and you're probably not going to have as much competition. That's just right?
Yes, and you'll be able to have an inspection, and then there's just a lot of ways to win with multifamily, but you really have to be in the mindset that you got to live there, at least for a year, right?
That's right.
So, but multifamily is one way to get into something with, and grow a bit more equity than if you just got into single family residential. And Dan and I could go into the history behind fourplexes over the region and how they've outperformed single family residential over the past, I think it was 18 years I did the study, and it was just phenomenal how much more they went up. So if you purchased, a fourplex back, 18 years ago, and you moved into one of the units, and maybe you only lived in it for 1 year, and then you rented out all 4 of them. I mean, my gosh. Well, the amount of appreciation in most cases was more than double what you got for single family residential, just so you have an idea. I could pull those numbers up, and I'll pull those numbers up again for you guys, but it is worth thinking about. So multifamily is another way to get into housing right now without necessarily competing.
And if you're doing, a fourplex, just to say, you can go 3.5% down FHA, or you can go 5% down conventional, right? They've dropped the rate down to 5%, or the underwriting guidelines for conventional down to 5% down.
Yeah.
And if you normally, folks, when folks are looking at the cash return, cash on cash return, stuff like that we were just talking about on that other property up in Everett. But usually when you're looking at the analysis, you're doing that off of a 25% down payment, basically, right?
Yes, as a traditional investor, right?
That's
Not
right.
as though you're living there, but as a traditional investor. So if that's penciling pretty well, not being owner occupied, then if you were to live in it, now, not that you could do that with an 8-plex, right? Because that's an 8-plex.
Right. Right.
But that Viking property, you could have moved into one of those little 2-bedroom, 1-bath cabins. Every single one of them had a washer dryer on a nice flat piece of property in Poulsbo. Love Poulsbo. I love Poulsbo. Anyway, I had a question, Dan. So somebody asked me, do I think the housing market's going to have a correction? And I think the short answer to that is probably not anytime really soon. We saw a correction the end of 2022 for a very specific reason, and it's because interest rates doubled in 6 months. And that's a very specific reason why. We had also a glutton of homes on the market because everybody was, selling their house, and they could afford to because interest rates were low when they started that process. So, but anyway, there was a lot of inventory on the market that year. And
well, it's a funny thing. We were talking about this yesterday. So addressing this to the TikTok viewer, I'm betting, right?
Yes.
That comes
Mhm.
from TikTok. So we were talking about this yesterday. And if you go on YouTube, you can see a lot of folks that get a ton of clicks,
Yep.
and they have been talking
Market's
about
gonna crash.
it's going to crash, going to go down
And they're getting all
30%, going
kinds
to
of
go down 40.
views because it's, they're saying the thing that everybody's like their biggest fear,
That's right. So,
it's not gonna happen.
and I don't have visuals for it, but let me walk through why people are talking about a potential crash and why it hasn't happened yet and why it's not going to happen in the foreseeable future. Okay.
Yeah, do
I,
that.
okay. So why is it happening? Why are people saying that? It's because they are fixated on one metric. Okay. It's the affordability index. And the affordability index right now is extremely, is it the word inaffordable or unaffordable? It's not affordable, right? I mean, houses are just not affordable. They're extraordinarily expensive, and the interest rates are extremely high, and the
Yep.
monthly payment is very, very high. And so
Yep.
the logic behind that is it's got to crack sometime, right? It's going to
Yep.
come back down to earth. What goes up comes down, all that kind of stuff. Okay. The problem with that is it hasn't happened, and it's not going to happen in the next 6 to 9 months. It's not. And the reason why I can say that so emphatically is if when you're looking, at least I'm talking locally, right? All real estate's local. We're
Yeah,
talking
we're talking
about
Seattle area specifically.
right. We're talking Kitsap and King and Snohomish County and Puget, yeah, the whole Puget Sound area.
Yeah.
Why it's not going to happen in the next 6 to 9 months. It's simply not, and the reason it's not is that when you take a look at a month's supply of inventory, less than 1 month, right? There's no inventory. I guess I'm beating around the bush. There's no inventory, right?
And what's driving that, Dan? What's driving that is our workforce. We have people employed here that need to live here, and they're
That's right.
out looking for homes to buy to live in with their families. And so that's what's driving our market. So the way we could have a correction, so if you want to, let's just go suppose, the way we could end up with a correction is if one of our major employers or more than one of our major employers actually suffered some significant, layoffs or or had some real production issues, whatever that looks like.
They're going to have to blow a few more doors off the Boeing planes before this starts to hit. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, all my buddies over Boeing.
Analogy, but we'd have to see some of the employers in the region have some issues, some financial issues, maybe start doing some layoffs and cutbacks and things like that. And eventually that would have an impact on our housing market because you need a stable employment to have a strong housing market, typically speaking, right? So in retirement areas, that's not necessarily the case, but in our area where you have, really steeply increasing home prices, and at the same time you have, interest rates that are staying the same or going up, it seems like all the time. You have to have a good economy to...
They're coming down, darn it. They're gonna come. Those interest rates are gonna come.
Don't tell me about that. Now I'm actually scared. I don't want to become a professional offer writer. You guys, we don't get paid for that.
No, you.
Hey, I gotta sell you a house. Like for real, sell you a house. Like actually get you into somewhere you can live.
You know what?
All for free. That's the thing people don't realize about this occupation. We work for free most of the time.
Most of the time, and it can't
get a decent paycheck, but the rest of the time we're just working to work.
Economists will call this psychic income. It's not real income, but it's psychic income. It's because you're working, you're feeling good, you're working hard for the clients, and you're psychically better off. Unfortunately, you can't eat psychic income. But anyway.
So I have another comment. Thoughts on taking the money and selling. So that's interesting. I actually had a seller do that a few years ago, and they are so regretting it. It was in 2021, and they thought that the market had gone up so much that, in fact, that it would come back down. And I didn't ascribe to that, but people have their feelings about things, and they really wanted to take some time off of being a homeowner, and they wanted to kind of be footloose and fancy free. So it wasn't just that. But, if you're moving to another area, take the money and run.
Well, the biggest,
get your 20-30% over asking, get your house properly prepared for market, but take the money and run. You bet your bottom dollar. Now, if you decide you can stay here another couple of years, you probably would benefit from more appreciation. But it depends on where you're moving to, right?
Right.
Because a lot of times people are going to be able to sell their homes here at a certain point in their career when they retire and go buy something cash somewhere else.
Well, and the thing is,
the Pacific Northwest. See, I can't leave. I got grandkids. There's no leaving. I don't get to leave. So,
well, if you can go from selling your house with a mortgage and you're making mortgage payments every month to taking the cash, moving someplace and putting it into where you really don't have mortgage payments other than maybe real estate taxes and stuff like that. There's a lot to be said about that. There is a lot to be said about something like that because you're reducing,
you're reducing your overhead.
Your overhead, your monthly payments. That's right.
You don't need to bring in as much cash every month, or you can, start to spend some of your money a little more easily than if you're sporting a, $5,000-$6,000 a month house payment or higher. So, fortunately, a lot of people still have that 3% interest rate, and I'm one of them, and I'm not selling because I'm trading that puppy in for a bigger interest rate unless I take my cash and go move somewhere else, which is what you guys are talking about. Here.
Do you remember when Charlton Heston was running the NRA? You probably don't remember, but anyway, so Charlton Heston, the actor, he used to be the president of the NRA, and he says, "You can grab the gun out of my cold dead hands," right? And then so that's kind of how I'm looking at some of these 3% mortgages. They're going to have to take that house out of somebody's cold dead hands before they get rid of it, because it's pretty tough to give that up.
Tough pill to swallow, because housing prices have gone up so much, and yes, your home value goes up, but still you'd be, there's a good chance you'd be likely taking on a bigger mortgage if you're going to buy a bigger home. Right. And so that payment just goes up so much more than what you're currently paying. So, because money costs more. So even if you got the same value home and you had the same amount loan, your payment would be like, what, 1.5 times? So it's just not a good idea to move, guys.
Well, realistically speaking, because we all see,
myself out of business here.
Well, we kind of both. You can see the numbers, though. I mean, you're going from a $3,500 a month payment to a $4,000 a month payment to a $6,500 a month payment right now, basically.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
That's
right. That's really rough. I mean, that's a lot of money every month. I mean, that's $25,000-$30,000 a year difference. It's big number. It's a big number.
So can we talk about my next topic?
Kat, we can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Oh, Dan, that's so nice of you.
Whatever you want to talk about.
You guys, he's so accommodating.
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about today, the last topic, really, unless we get up on some side topics. But so the top 7 mistakes to avoid making when you're selling your home in this market. Right. So this is a different market than, what may be going on across the rest of the United States, the Western Washington market. We've got multiple offers, and not all the counties are actually experiencing this. So I'm really speaking to Snohomish and King County specifically, and parts of Pierce. Right. So those are the counties that are really experiencing multiple offer situations and going significantly over asking price. So the biggest mistake you can make is you start off by overpricing your house. And that is common this time of year. When, sellers start hearing about homes going 20% over asking, they start to get stars in their eyes and they think, why don't we just start there? Well, then you don't get any offers and you're one of the 16% in Snohomish County that stays on the market. I've got my calls hidden. They're not supposed to be. I've got my focus on anyway. So there's overpricing. That's one of the big mistakes you can make in this market. Another one would be skipping that pre-listing inspection. So you've got a home that you're going to put on the market And the absolute best way to stay in control of that process is to get an inspection prior to going on the market. So you have control of the fixes. You have control of what gets repaired and who does the repairs. You don't have to necessarily go out there and hire, that contractor if it's something that you're capable of fixing. So it can save you a lot of money, and it keeps you in control of the process. And then you can share that inspection with buyers, and you may get more than one offer. And in this market, I would say that's a given. If you do not have a seller procured inspection available to buyers, you are definitely going to get less offers. So you need to kind of keep that in your mind. So it's going to create a situation where you can get more offers. Now, it's not across the board, right? It's not a magic bullet, but it works well. So, the next mistake you can make is skipping a sewer scope. And I see so many sellers do this. Most sellers will not get a sewer scope. And we have problems with sewers in our areas, guys. Not everybody, but there's a fair amount. We have a lot of trees. And sewer repairs are expensive. So it's unfortunately on the burden of the seller to show that their sewer is in good condition. And if they really want a buyer to be well informed about the condition of their home, then, have a sewer scope done. I mean, worst case scenario, you actually have to fix something. And I've had that happen where sellers need to do some repairs. But right. Then you're passing along a home that the buyers, have a fair shot at, I mean, it's going to be their home. Would you want them to have a sewer that doesn't work right? Anyway. Okay, so the next one, another mistake to avoid as a seller in this market is just not staging. I mean, my gosh, you have to stage. I've got a listing coming up. It's got all the shiny objects in it. It's got the modern flooring. It's got the quartz countertops. It's got the beautiful handles on the cabinets and the new modern cabinets. And it's going to get a lot of attention. And I'm going to stage it because it should be staged. It deserves to be staged. And we will probably get more than a couple offers on it. So that's going to get my seller more money and allow him to have more choices for terms. Right.
You know what the Vegas money line's got for offers on the house that you're staging? 26.5 offers. That's the over under right now. That's the betting line right now.
Oh, is that it, Dan?
That's it. 26.5 offers. Yes. Oh, I think it's going to just bring in tons of offers. It's going to be exciting.
I tell you what, and some of these listings I've got coming on are not going to come on for a couple of months. I'm a little nervous. Anyway. So another mistake you can make in Snohomish and King County right now, I really believe this. I really believe that you should be setting an offer review date if you are the shiny object on the market. So if you do have modern flooring or quartz countertops, or you've got a really solid home in a solid neighborhood that's, maybe it's got the 3-car garage or the big yard, the 10,000 square foot lot. I mean, you got brick on the front, whatever it is that makes your house really cool in a cool neighborhood, you should be setting that offer review date. You're selling yourself short if you don't. I understand the trepidation and the PTSD from years past, but at the same time, buyers are going to still make offers on your house. They will. Right. So, right. You shouldn't. So don't avoid setting an offer review date. Just go ahead and do that. And, again, I've talked about this in the past. If you want to test the market a little bit, you can hold an early open house on a Friday or a Saturday and, test the temperature of it and then go ahead and set an offer review date if it sounds like there's going to be more than one offer that would be coming in. So you can do that if you're a little nervous about it. But another thing is not being fully prepared for the market. So get your windows cleaned, make sure you do, all the things that you should be doing to go on the market. So being fully prepared is very important. And the last thing, and I'm making a special point of mentioning this. A lot of times I see people just neglect the landscaping, and the landscaping can really showcase a home. So, for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, depending on the size of the yard and what it's required, to be done there, whether it's fresh bark or what have you. I mean, I've got a crew that can come in and just blow out a yard in one day and it just transform it. So landscaping can make a huge difference to the photos and the Matterport and the videos that we're going to use in the listing to market your property. So
Well, and it's a first impression, right?
it is a first impression because you start outside at the front door as you're walking up to the front of the house.
Which should be black front door, right? Do I have that right?
So yeah, so it's not, it's a thing. So you can paint your front door black, and theoretically you'll get an extra $6,500 more for your house on average, according to NAR. I think it's NAR. But yeah, a lot of people are painting their front doors black. The other thing you can do that I really love is replace the door and or the door hardware. The handle.
How about that? How about the handle? I was just going to say the handle.
Not a round handle. Don't put a round handle. But the handle that you like,
not this, but more like this, right?
Handle. So
yes,
like a real substantial door handle. You guys, it makes so much difference when you walk up to a house. How do I know that? I walk up to a lot of houses. I gotta tell you, it makes a difference, and my buyers respond differently. So
right.
A lot of this is from my years of doing this since 1999.
Well, I tell you what, this has been a heck of a live stream today. I really had a good time. Yes.
Let's see. Do you have any more questions? Let me see. I don't see any more questions.
You know what I'm going to do?
Questions. I love that. We had questions today.
Oh, we have more. Do we have more questions?
Let's see. The building is painted wood frame. Oh, I've got some people talking to each other on here, I think. Let's see. Somebody said things have slowed down a bit in sales of homes in Myrtle Beach. Interesting.
Huh. Myrtle Beach, my brother doesn't live too far from Myrtle Beach. He lives in Wilmington. Yeah, Wilmington, North Carolina. Not too far from Myrtle Beach.
I love the comments and questions, you guys. That's really fun for me.
Well, I'll tell you what, it has not slowed down one little iota up here in Seattle, but real estate's kind of local. It is.
It is local. It is local. I mean, let's face it, you get over to Mason County and it's a different market, right? You got 2 months of inventory, and they still will get multiple offers probably a little later this year. Skagit, sometimes some weeks their houses sell like hotcakes. And my guess is they are experiencing some multiple offers in those situations in Skagit County, because in some weeks they've got 50-60% of homes getting under contract within the first 7 days. And that would be Anacortes, Mount Vernon area up there. So yeah, they've got a pretty good market up there too. But Snohomish has just been blown out of the water since January 1st, and actually even through December and November. And King County has been not far behind, with sometimes they surge past Snohomish County. For some reason, I just pull for Snohomish County,
Well, it's a hometown, hometown rooting.
That's right. I live in Snohomish. I work in King. I mean, I'm kind of,
Well, you're on the cusp, right there, right in between. Woodinville was where you live. Woodinville's kind of real close to Snohomish, but not quite there.
Woodinville's kind of pissed me off. They managed to get rid of Mobax.
I saw that.
They intentionally wanted to do that, but somehow they managed to get rid of Mobax and Red Hook, and they kind of stumbled into a screw up, in my opinion. I don't know. I do not know what happened there. I kind of wish I knew some of the nitty-gritty details, but I probably never will. Snohomish, the little town of Snohomish, is kicking ass, taking names. But I don't even think they've got an empty space in Snohomish. Like,
you know what?
Downtown area, it's absolutely packed. They've got the Pie Dive Bar. They've got the Oxford. They've got the Proper Joe's, the coffee place. They've got the First Street Kitchen, the bakery there. They've got the Pie Company. I mean, they've got, oh my gosh, it's got so many. The Little House of Light, I think it's called, and bunches of little shops and stuff. And there's a tea place there. There's Keisha's wine tasting. I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, there's just so many cool. Rogers Riverfront Bistro. That place is kick-ass. So delicious.
Do they serve drinks there?
Yes, they do. Yep, they do. And you know where else they serve drinks, Dan? They serve really good whiskey drinks.
How about the Pie Bar?
The Pie Dive Bar.
Pie Dive Bar. That's the
drink
spot.
that starts with an O, and it is like insane. It's so good. And then
what starts with an O again?
that whiskey drink I like at the Pie Dive Bar.
Oh,
It's got a smoky hit to it, and I'm not a sweet person. I don't like sweet drinks, but this
Right.
this is amazing. It's got a nice smoky hit to it, and they've also got a mac and cheese and brisket pie, savory pie, which is kind of crazy, and it's good.
That's a you know what it sounds like to me? It's a good place to go. You can have a few nice drinks. You could bring home a pie, and it's like a sort of a meat pie or a macaroni.
Well, you can eat your savory pie there, and then you can bring home a sweet pie. You know, to eat like later or the next morning.
So like savory pie would be like a meat pie, is that right? Or a mac and cheese pie or something like that,
I think
right?
they have like a chicken enchilada pie, meat pie, and they've got.
And this is the Pie Bar, right?
This is the Pie Dive Bar.
The Pie Dive Bar.
The dive part is my favorite part.
The Pie Dive Bar. Yes. Oh, I'm gonna have to go there. That just sounds really too enticing.
I keep introducing it to people, and everybody keeps saying, "I can't believe we didn't know this was here." And I'm like, I know it's going to get busy going forward, but I'm going to appreciate it so I can still get in.
Oh gosh, well that sounds great. I'll tell you what, I'm looking at the time clock right now, and I've got a couple texts that came in. I think we.
Oh, you're expiring.
I'm
Dan's expiring, guys.
I'm dying on the vine.
Anyway, thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks for the good live, Dan.
Thank you too, Kat. It was a great live. I really had a great time.
It was really fun.
It was.
Okay, I'm going to sign off for you guys. Perfect. TikTok. Hey, join us again next week. We're going to try for Monday at 4:00. I know today's Tuesday, but we're trying for Mondays at 4. Bye.
But if we don't make Mondays at 4, it might be Tuesday. But worst case scenario, it's a Friday. Worst case.
That's right.
All right. We're ending the stream here on Facebook and YouTube. Hitting the button.